It looks like sports is going to slowly make a comeback into the world. First up is the UFC on May 9th with their UFC pay-per-view, but then NASCAR looks like they are the next major American sport that will be coming back on May 17th. Now, I would like to say everything with a grain of salt because things can change very quickly from today until hell, tomorrow, and even 5 hours from now, things can change. So it's not 100% confirmed, or we're gonna positively go racing. But NASCAR they have a schedule in place, and they will go through with it as long as there's no interruptions or delays of any sort from the public health officials and the world and the goddamn virus and everything. And here's the schedule. It looks insane when you look at it from the standpoint that NASCAR, a sport that doesn't run every day, is literally looks like it's running every other day. So here's what's happening. Cup Series at Darlington and Charlotte. There's going to be 2 races each for the Cup Series at each of those tracks. Xfinity and Trucks will be making a comeback as well. Sunday, May 17th, we're going to Darlington for the Cup Series 400-mile race on Fox. Afternoon race at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And then on Tuesday, May 19th, prime time on Fox Sports 1 will be the Xfinity Series 200 miles. And then Wednesday, May 20th, something that we've been talking about for a while is midweek races. Well, NASCAR now has basically been forced into a midweek race here. And this is going to be a 310-mile race, aka a 500-kilometer race, or kilometer race. 7:30 p.m. Eastern prime time on a Wednesday, May 20th. So that's the second race at Darlington. Then on Sunday, May 24th, you go from South Carolina to North Carolina. You go to Charlotte, where NASCAR is basically based. So this makes sense that Darlington and Charlotte are the 2 tracks chosen for these races. So Charlotte, May 24th, Sunday, 600 miles. That is the Coca-Cola 600. There will be no practice, but there will be qualifying for this race only. The rest of the races will not have practice or qualifying, but for the Coca-Cola 600, qualifying is going to happen. So that is the Coca-Cola 600, normal, Sunday, May 24th on Fox, 6 p.m. Eastern. Then Monday, May 25th, the Xfinity Series at Charlotte, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1, 300 miles. And Tuesday, May 26th, you have the Truck Series. And then Wednesday, May 27th, you have the second Cup race, another 310-mile race at Charlotte, prime time, FS1, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then after that, we do not know. NASCAR has only made this schedule for the month of May. Anything going forward would have to be talked about amongst NASCAR, the teams, the TV broadcasters, the public health officials, the governments of whichever state that they would be racing in. Let's say they come to Florida and they want to race at Daytona. Well, then Florida has to give them the okay. It's going to be like this for a long time, to say the least. I would say be excited because NASCAR is back and you could actually watch motorsports racing. Hopefully, 90% chance, as long as nothing happens. But then after this month, what will happen will just mainly depend on where they are allowed to race. There might be certain states where the virus is a little bit more prominent, a little bit more of a serious issue than other states, and maybe the governors of those states will not allow NASCAR to come in and to do those races at certain tracks. So, for example, let's just say Nevada and Las Vegas or something. I'm just picking a state. Trust me, I don't know what I'm talking about here, basically, but just picking a state. Let's just say Nevada right here is they don't want NASCAR coming in. Then NASCAR can't come in. Doesn't matter what they say or what NASCAR wants. You just can't do it. But what if, let's say, Alabama is okay? Alabama's, oh yeah, come race at Talladega. We're fine. We can do it. The NASCAR will go to Talladega. Basically, the rest of this season, the schedule you can't look at the normal schedule and think, oh, that's going to be what we're going to be. The playoff races can be changed 4 months from now if certain states don't allow certain races. So this is going to be a very fluid situation. Every single day, every single week, month is going to be very different. And so it's going to be just really weird, to say the least. Now, some more information how this is all going to happen. Obviously, no fans. There's going to be no fans at the racetracks, and I feel like that's going to be probably a thing for the rest of the year, to be honest. I don't think as a fan you're not going to be able to attend any sporting event anytime soon. So just sit back and relax and watch it on TV. So what they are doing specifically for NASCAR, there was always an idea that you could get NASCAR back before the other sports, before football, basketball, baseball, all the stick and ball sports. You could maybe get NASCAR back because you have a driver in a car. They're by themselves with other cars around you. So you would assume that could happen. But the thing about NASCAR is, what about the team members? What about the officials? And how do you get them to be all okay? So from what I've been reading, they don't have tests at site. So at Darlington and Charlotte, you're not going to be able to test everyone, which is something that I know football is trying to do, though the Premier League over in Europe, they're trying to get an ability to where they could test the players and staff of the teams every 2 weeks. There is a little bit of moral dilemma there, because aren't those tests supposed to be going to people who need it across the world, not for so some rich people can play a rich sport and just kind of keep businesses going and make money. So NASCAR doesn't have the test available, but I expect that they will be able to maybe take temperatures as soon as the team enters. As soon as someone comes in, maybe they'll take a temperature of that crew member, that driver. I'm not sure if that's going to be happening, but that is something maybe they could do. In the garages, every team will be separated, so all haulers and race cars will have an open space between them, 6 feet minimum, and those spaces must remain clear so other teams cannot get near other teams. Now, does that mean team members will still be around each other? Yes. So that's why, if one team member gets it, then a whole team member can get it, and that's where this can become a little bit iffy. And if one team member gets the virus and then multiple team members get a virus and then a driver gets a virus, that's why I'm saying be happy that the schedule is here and there's a plan. But still, as long as someone in the sport gets it and then it gets spread, it becomes a really big problem. So pretty much what NASCAR is doing is they're just taking each team and those people that have to work together on the cars, so let's say the 48 team, and they're on their 6-7 members, right? They have to work just amongst themselves and they cannot be around other team members. So that whole walking around the garage area and interacting, that's not going to be happening at all. Everyone's going to be keeping their distance. So it's just going to be like a neighborhood. If you were imagining living in your neighborhood and everyone takes a walk and they walk their dog or you ride a bicycle and you're all separated from each other, basically, it's kind of like imagine doing that with your family, right? So you go on a walk with your family, 4 people, and then you just stay away from each other. Well, you're going to have a bunch of families, which are going to be the teams, and they're all going to be staying away from each other, and no one's going to be talking to each other, and it's just going to be really interesting to say the least. And sadly, we're not going to get any fights in the garage area, because if you piss someone off, you can't really go near them because of the social distancing rules. I can't believe I'm saying this. This year is absolutely insane. A lot of fans have questions like, what if a driver develops symptoms before the race and can't participate? NASCAR said that they've worked with the race teams to update the rulebook provisions for medical waivers to account for potential missed races due to the COVID-19 infection. Now, to be fair, this is something NASCAR can do. They can make up whatever they want to allow a certain driver into the playoffs. You saw that Matt Kenseth is coming back and he's been granted a playoff waiver. If you get the COVID-19 virus and you miss a few races because of it, you come back a month or two later, you'll be able to get granted a waiver. If you've won a race, you're still going to be able to compete for a championship. NASCAR is going to go through every hoop possible, every loophole to make sure all drivers are going to be able to compete for a championship and not get screwed over because of a certain way. So I would say, there's a notorious reputation amongst NASCAR fans. They always complain about, what they're of certain NASCAR decisions stuff. Don't complain about anything NASCAR decides over the next few months, because this situation is just absolutely bonkers. You have to make decisions so quickly, and some of the times it won't make sense, and sometimes it will. All we want to see is racing. Does it really matter which driver gets a waiver for this or that? It doesn't matter. Just get the cars on track, just be able to race a little bit and just have some fun, because that's the big thing here, is just have fun, get a motorsport back, get some normalcy back into the life. You don't have to complain about little itty bitty details that we would normally complain about. Let's say if someone got granted a waiver and they missed half season, where you get granted a waiver in normal circumstances, yeah, you can maybe complain about that like Kyle Busch did. Not in this scenario, to say the least. I wouldn't say complain. Again, I want to reiterate, as NASCAR is back, this is only for the month of May. Going forward, it's going to be difficult to know what they can do, because they will have to get the confirmation of the public health officials, governments from those states, mayors. They're going to have to be able to give the okay, to give the pass through for NASCAR to come into the state and hold a sporting event amongst themselves. It's just going to basically be a little private circus that they're going to be. NASCAR is literally going to be a private circus going around to racetracks and trying to hold sporting events. And this is what it's going to be like for the rest of the world too, when sports do come back. For example, football games later this year, American football, literally might be only held at one stadium. Every team might have to show up at a stadium at different times, and everyone will have to play that game in that certain stadium, because you can't have games in every other stadium because of how the situation's going. So this could be a thing where if NASCAR can't get approval from other tracks, but they still want to race, maybe you'll actually see more than 2 races at Charlotte or Darlington. If those guys are on board and they just say, hey, you want to come race here again, we could honestly see 3, 4, 5 races at these tracks. If NASCAR can only go to 4 or 5 tracks and they have the permission from those governors, maybe that's all they can do, and they literally every week will just keep repeating those racetracks. You could see Daytona 3 times. To be honest, I wouldn't complain seeing Daytona, three cup races at Daytona within the span of a week, I wouldn't really complain. I would think that's hilarious, and how they would be able to build enough race cars for them to all wreck up there as well. That'd be absolutely hilarious. But I think it's really good news that NASCAR is back. I think it's really good news that you guys are going to be able to watch it, and we can all watch it, and hopefully the iRacing stuff, I'm actually hoping the iRacing stuff still goes on. You know, let's say they get an off week or something as NASCAR's trying to figure out their schedule, hop on iRacing, everyone does something at iRacing. That'd be kind of cool. In my dream world, I would say just combine the iRacing results with the real life results, and that's how you determine a champion without, you know, that's just a fantasy. And hopefully other sports can follow suit in the coming months. I know the PGA Tour, golf is trying to come back in June, and basketball is also looking at a July date, but I feel like the NBA is going to be really difficult to get back as well, because the NBA is very, very precautious, and they won't want to come back if one of their players gets the virus or anything. They will just not play at all. So NBA might take a little bit longer. American football, we don't know yet because the season doesn't start for a while. Premier League football, I don't know how they're going to be able to do it, to be honest. But it looks like NASCAR, looks like golf, certain sports where it's an individual sport, you know, I think you'll be able to get it done in a very careful way. So hopefully that works. If you guys like the video, make sure to like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Comment down below, what do you think about, well, your sport coming back? That's kind of cool. How do you think it's going to work out? Are you going to get kind of tired of seeing maybe them going to the same racetrack over and over, because maybe that's the only place they have permission? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think just keep calculating all these points and just figure out championship details later, and for now just race? Like it all becomes this thing where it's like you're trying to create a schedule in a video game, but you don't know what tracks to put where, and you're just going off a one-by-one basis. This is basically what's happening. It's absolutely insane, but I feel like it's going to be hilarious how the race teams even are able to prepare for this. You have to build the race cars and get all that mindset of and all that data of how to build the race cars, and you know how competitive these teams are, to the point where you have no time to even really think like who's going to be fast, who's been prepared for this, who's prepared to get, you know, their cars out there to race winning capabilities. And it's just gonna be absolutely crazy how this goes. And I will say, if one team hits the nail on the head, let's say, for example, Martin Truex Jr. just has a hell of a car coming into Darlington, he might win all 4 races just because you don't have enough time to adapt really to what you want to do. You have no practice. You have no qualifying other than the Coke 600. You're literally just showing up to the racetrack with a race car and racing. It's really, really funny to me, and it's also kind of cool. I feel like it's kind of cool just to show up at a track with what you got and just race. You can't just practice willy-nilly and fix it. No, just show up and race and see what you got. I feel like that's hilarious. That's really awesome. So I'll see you guys later. Hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you May 17th. NASCAR's back. That's cool. And May 20th, and May 19th, and 18th, and 21st. It's racing pretty much every day. It's amazing. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.